In 2009, 3 authors from Google wrote a paper called The Unreasonable Effectiveness of Data. In this paper, they argue that models are expensive, but data is cheap. Therefore, we ought to focus on collecting more and more data. Why is that? Many machine learning technologies today are feature engineers. That is, they look through large databases, they find the patterns or features which matter, and then they use these features to perform useful extrapolations. For instance, you could take an image of a Mediterranean island filled with vacation villas and then cut out a portion of the image. Based on a large database of similar islands and villas and similar seascapes, the algorithm can reconstruct the original image. Basically, the algorithm has replaced an expensive and human process with expertise, a cheap and scalable process dependent upon data. Maybe even more surprisingly, these algorithms continue to get better as you add more and more data. It's not entirely clear why this happens, but it may be that there are patterns in the data. And there's not just patterns, but patterns of patterns. So the more data you collect, the clearer you discover the basic patterns which can be recombined to create added value. This suggests a new kind of network advantage, an advantage which is based upon the collection of data. Companies have internal advantages. They're created by skilled workforces, intellectual properties, or trade secrets. Companies also have economies of scale and of scope created by efficient means of production. But they also have advantages external to the market and external to their boundaries. Such external advantages or externalities may be increasingly accruing to companies because of their networks and because of the sources of data that they collect. So this raises the question, if data is increasingly a source of competitive advantages, which sources of data are the most valuable? Which sectors are going to be able to create viable new business models based upon data? And should national or transnational governments work to limit the advantages created by those few companies which have gained a massive advantage in the collection and processing of data? In the previous work, we've argued that there are basically 3 means to create value out of data. The first means is increased empirical knowledge. The second means is enhanced automation and control of economic processes. And the third, that concerns the strategic use of information. Each of these means responds differently to propositions of collecting, labeling, and modeling of data. Let's go through each of these in turn. So, the empirical knowledge proposition applies to science-based industries such as biotechnology, chemistry, microelectronics, and pharmaceuticals. Improved sensor technologies means that there will be more and more data from these domains, which is cheaply collected and in the hands of more and more companies. But here, more data doesn't necessarily make the challenge easier. The developments are going to get more and more difficult over time. Elaborate models built based on human expertise are continuing to be likely necessary. The automation and control proposition applies to manufacturing industries, but it could also apply to transportation infrastructure and logistics as well. A natural corollary applies to wholesale and retail companies, and even advertising and commerce. Here, the proposition of getting value out of increasing amounts of data still makes a lot of sense. The third proposition concerns the strategic use of information as a source of value. This includes the use of information in sectors such as government, banking, finance, telecommunications, the internet, and even arts and the military. It's unclear whether a big data solution or a big data modeling solution can supplant what's going on in these sectors. But what may be more disruptive to these sectors are new civic and financial technologies which generate new streams of data and which unseat existing incumbent institutions. So in this short video, I've discussed 2 ways of exploiting big data technologies. One way involves collecting more data, and the other way involves building more elaborate models. And I've attempted to persuade you that more data is sometimes, but not always, better when developing big data strategies to transform your business.